Some homes offer shelter, others offer secrets, and sometimes, the moment you move in, they're already watching. Welcome to Chills and Whisper, where we share true stories of homes that remember and the shadows that linger long after the lights go out. Tonight, we share two deeply unsettling tales from those who thought they were simply moving in, but instead stepped into something far darker.
We moved into the apartment when I was 15. It was supposed to be a fresh start, but from the very first week, strange things began to happen. The wall clock, the refrigerator, even the television would stop working at random times, only to resume functioning as if nothing had happened. At first, we blamed the wiring, calling an electrician to investigate, but he found nothing. "Everything looks fine," he had said with a puzzled expression. But we knew it wasn't fine. One evening, my mother left soup simmering on the stove while she busied herself in another room. I had just stepped out of the shower when I saw it. The flames rising from the gas regulator, dancing unnaturally as if they had a mind of their own. My heart pounded in my chest. Fire. It wasn't coming from the stove, but from the regulator itself. Something was terribly wrong. I forced myself forward, hand shaking as I twisted the knob to shut off the gas. The flames vanished instantly. My hands trembled and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching me. The next day, we were all in the living room having lunch when a sudden loud crash echoed through the apartment. Plates rattled, and a stunned silence fell over us. We rushed to find where the noise had come from, and discovered that the ceiling fan in the guest bedroom had fallen to the floor. The eerie part? We never used that room. It was meant for guests, and yet, something had disturbed it. No one had been inside, and yet, the fan had come crashing down on its own. We exchanged uneasy glances, but refused to speak about it, as if voicing our fear would make it real. That same night, I lay in bed reading after dinner. The air felt heavy, pressing down on me like an unseen force. I got up to turn off the light, and as I turned back toward my bed, my breath hitched in my throat. A shadow, tall, unmoving, vaguely human, stood in the darkness. My body froze. It had no face, no features, just an outline darker than the night itself. My instincts screamed at me to run, but fear gripped me like chains. Gathering every ounce of courage, I forced my legs to move, dashing straight through the figure. A freezing chill enveloped me for a split second before I stumbled into my bed, gasping for air. The next morning, I was sick. Fever burned through my body, leaving me weak and disoriented. Every time I tried to stand, the world spun, and darkness pulled me back down. The doctors found nothing wrong with me. No infections, no deficiencies, nothing. But I knew something had taken hold of me in that apartment. The decision to leave wasn't a difficult one. We packed in haste, not daring to spend another night under that roof. That night we stayed at my aunt's house while searching for another home, unwilling to set foot back in that apartment. The moment we stepped out of that place, the weight lifted. My fever vanished. My strength returned. But the fear never left. Even now, I struggle to sleep. I still wake up in the middle of the night, frozen in place, trapped in the paralysis of my own mind. And sometimes in the darkest hours, I feel it again. That presence, that shadow, lingering just beyond the edges of my vision. Watching. Waiting. Some houses are more than just bricks and mortar. They remember. They hold tight to whatever once lived or died within. And if you're not careful, they just might decide you belong to them too.
My wife and I had just moved into our new rented house in a small city, a spacious 3-bedroom home in a serene, green society. As newlyweds, we were thrilled to start this new chapter, just the two of us. But it didn't take long before we realized we weren't alone. It was a quiet Saturday night. We were halfway through a movie, snacks in hand, when the power dipped out of nowhere. The TV went black, the lights dimmed to a creepy glow, and the ceiling fan slowed down like it was winding down for a nap. Right then, a low rumble of thunder rolled across the sky. We looked at each other like, yep, probably just another storm rolling in. Then, just as the power flickered again, we heard it. A sharp metallic clatter from the kitchen. My wife and I froze. No mistaking that sound. It was one of our big steel pots, the kind you store upside down on the floor, rattling like it had been smacked hard. But no one was in there. We tried to brush it off. Probably a neighbor, we told ourselves. Thin walls, old building. But then the light surged again, bright, then dim, casting weird, jerky shadows across the room. And that's when it happened again. Another crash, louder this time. From the kitchen, no doubt about it. It was coming from inside our apartment. I crept toward the kitchen, half expecting to find a mouse trapped under one of the pots. My wife was right behind me, clutching my arm like her life depended on it. With a quick breath and a little bravado, I flipped both pots over. Nothing, just cold tile and silence. We let out this awkward little laugh, the kind you force when you're trying to convince yourself everything's fine. But then the lights flickered again, and that's when it happened. Crash. The pots rattled right there in front of us. No breeze, no earthquake, no explanation. We didn't wait to investigate. We ran. Bolted out of the kitchen like scared kids, slamming the door shut behind us. Neither of us said a word, because we knew what we just heard, but neither of us was ready to say it out loud. There was a narrow hallway that connected our bedroom to the main living room. Nothing unusual about it during the day. But at night, that little stretch of space felt wrong. Every time I crossed it, my skin would crawl like I was walking through invisible spider webs. Lying in bed, I'd get this heavy feeling, like someone was watching me from the hallway. Not just watching, staring, cold, unblinking, waiting. And yet, whenever I turned to look, nothing. But the sense of being watched never fully went away. It clung to the room like damp air, always just outside my line of sight. I kept it to myself. My wife never said anything, and honestly, I didn't want to sound crazy. Until one night, out of the blue, she whispered in the dark. "Are you awake?" she asked. "Yeah," I said, voice groggy. "What's up?" She paused for a second too long. "Do you ever feel like someone's watching us?" That did it. Instant goosebumps. I turned my head slowly, my heart suddenly too loud. "Why do you ask?" I asked her. She let out this shaky sigh and rolled over. Never mind. But I didn't press her, because I knew, right then and there, we were both feeling the same thing, and neither of us wanted to name it. Then came the dream. At least, I think it was a dream. In it, I woke to see my wife standing in front of the mirror, not brushing her hair, not adjusting her clothes, just standing, staring. Her hair was down and strangely puffed out like she'd been in a wind tunnel, and she wore a dark gown, flowing, old-fashioned, something I'd never seen before. I sat up slightly. "What are you doing?" No answer. She didn't even flinch. Then, without turning, she slowly walked back to bed, climbed in beside me, and sat perfectly still. Her face was blank, completely void of emotion. I tried again. "Hey, what's wrong?" She finally spoke, so softly it barely registered. Go back to sleep. And just like that, I did. As if the words carried weight, like a command that pulled me under. Then I woke up again. Or I thought I did. This time I saw her pacing the house, drifting from room to room. Her steps were slow, robotic. Not like sleepwalking, more like something was pulling the strings. I tried to speak. I wanted to scream her name, but my mouth wouldn't move. My body felt like stone. Darkness again. The third time I woke up, I was gasping. Chest tight. Cold sweat. And that's when I saw she was floating above me. Her hair fanned out unnaturally, like it was suspended in water. Her lips curled into a slow, eerie smile, and her eyes locked straight onto mine. I jolted awake for real this time, choking on my breath. The room was dark, silent. My wife was sound asleep beside me, breathing softly. Just a nightmare. Just a horrible, bone-deep nightmare. Morning came. We sat on the bed, sipping tea, laughing off the fog of sleep. I was about to tell her the dream. How weird, how vivid it had felt. But before I could say a word, she gave this nervous little laugh. I had the strangest nightmare last night, she said. I saw you standing by the mirror, then wandering around the house, and then... She hesitated. You were floating over me. I froze. I hadn't told her a single detail yet. My blood turned to ice. My mind screamed. But I smiled, just barely, and nodded. Better she think it was coincidence. Better she not realize the truth. That something, or someone, was moving between our dreams. Watching, waiting. Even now I could feel it. From the corners, from the dark. We didn't stay in that apartment much longer after that. Soon after, we moved into our own house. Brighter, warmer, safer. Or at least, that's what we tell ourselves.
2 different homes, 2 different families, one chilling similarity, something unseen, something uninvited, watching from the corners, waiting for the lights to go out. Would you have stayed or run the moment that first shadow moved? Tell us in the comments. Have you ever felt like something was in the room with you, even when you were alone? And if you've got a haunted house story of your own, email us. Your nightmare might just be our next story. Until next time, sleep well, if you can.